The ripple effect of kindness. Sarah's day started like any other, a busy shift at the hospital, balancing patients and paperwork with no idea that her life was about to change forever. It was during her quick lunch break that she saw him. An elderly man was sitting on the curb outside the hospital, his hands shaking as he held a weathered briefcase close to his chest. His clothes were worn, his shoes barely holding together, and his eyes told a story of struggle. People walked past him without a second glance, but Sarah couldn't ignore the ache in her heart. She walked over and asked, "Are you okay, sir? Do you need help?" The man hesitated, his voice barely audible as he whispered, "I'm just trying to get home." Sarah's compassion kicked in immediately. She brought him inside, found him a quiet corner to sit, and offered him a warm meal from the hospital cafeteria, paid for out of her own pocket. She even called a cab to take him wherever he needed to go, using the little cash she had left that month. The man looked at her, his eyes welling up with tears, and said, "You're an angel." But little did Sarah know, her act of kindness would spark outrage in the most unexpected way. When her supervisor found out, Sarah was pulled into an office and reprimanded. "You broke protocol," the supervisor said coldly. "You're not authorized to bring non-patients into hospital facilities, let alone use resources for them." Sarah tried to explain, but her words fell on deaf ears. By the end of the day, she was handed a termination letter, fired for being kind. She left the hospital in tears, clutching a cardboard box of her belongings. How is this fair, she thought. She had always worked hard, putting others before herself, and now she was being punished for it. The weight of it all was too much to bear. That night she cried herself to sleep, wondering how she'd pay her rent or afford groceries. But what Sarah didn't know was that her story was far from over. The next morning, she woke up to a knock at her door. When she opened it, she was stunned. A group of people in expensive suits stood on her porch, holding an envelope. One of them stepped forward and said, "Miss Carter, you've been chosen." "Chosen?" she stammered, confused. "For what?" Without answering, the man handed her the envelope and said, "Everything you need to know is inside." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten note and a check. But not just any check. It was for $5 million. She stared at it in disbelief, her mind racing. Who could possibly be behind this? The note read, "Your kindness didn't go unnoticed. Thank you for helping me when no one else would. I'm not who you think I am, but I have the resources to make sure people like you are never punished for doing good. Consider this a new beginning." Sarah's mind reeled. The elderly man she had helped wasn't just a struggling stranger. He was a billionaire philanthropist conducting a secret experiment to find truly selfless people. He had disguised himself to see who would help him without expecting anything in return. And Sarah, in her moment of pure compassion, had passed the test. The story doesn't end there. The hospital that fired her quickly became the center of a media storm. News outlets picked up Sarah's story, and the public was outraged. How could they fire someone for being kind? People demanded. Protests erupted outside the hospital, and the administration faced backlash like never before. Eventually, the CEO issued a public apology, but the damage to their reputation was already done. As for Sarah, her life was transformed overnight. With the money she received, she started her own nonprofit organization to help those in need, just as she had helped that elderly man. She became a beacon of hope in her community, inspiring countless others to choose kindness, no matter the cost. Today, Sarah is thriving, surrounded by a team of people who share her passion for helping others. And every so often she receives an anonymous letter, always handwritten, always signed, "An old friend." It's a reminder that one small act of kindness can change not only your life but the lives of others. Sometimes the most unexpected people are watching, and sometimes the rewards are beyond your wildest dreams.